Welcome to the show, Kate Taves. Did I say it correct?
You
Taves.
did.
Listen, look at that. I had to practice it a few
Great
times.
job.
The Unstaged Success podcast. This is episode 4. Kate, you are the talent finder. I'm gonna say you know HR Pro is your company name, but what I think you do best, or your purpose, is you find great people and you attach them to great opportunities. And I know that firsthand because you've done so with me and my company at ALT. You've helped our team grow. So welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
How important is recruitment when it comes to helping businesses grow?
Well, I think it's paramount, actually. You really can't grow a business without recruitment and retention, right? So those two really go hand in hand, because as long as you're retaining your employees, you have to do a little bit less recruitment, or it becomes a little bit more organic. Versus if you're not retaining your employees as well and you have high turnover rates, which a lot of industries have. So for example, retail, of course, right? The real estate business as a whole industry has a very high turnover rate. So absolutely, retention is important, and recruitment kind of goes hand in hand with that.
How do you how do you do it? Like, how I've done it. I've tried doing it on my own. It takes a lot of time. It takes me away from other tasks that I could be doing in my business. So I know firsthand the value of your service because you help bring people who are more aligned with our brand. But what's the secret sauce? How are you doing this?
Well, I think at the end of the day, it comes to practice, right? I have been in HR and recruitment for a couple of years, but I also come from a high turnover industry. I come from retail. That was my background since I was probably 18 years old. I used to be, a sales associate, then an assistant manager, then a store manager. Then I went into operations at head office level and, went up from there. But the challenge that we've had was always retaining employees. And so I've been recruiting since I was probably 19 years old.
Right.
The thing that you're referring to, I think, is, the fact that recruitment or any other task, if you look at your finances or your advertisement, your marketing, for example, it takes away from your day-to-day, from your business operations. And so I think it's extremely important to find amazing professionals that are great at what they do for every single portion of your business and trust them. But in terms of how I do what I do and why I've been effective with the Ladies Touch, of course, is because I get to know my clients, right? That's extremely important to me. To come in, to see your space, to meet your existing team, to understand who will be a great piece of the puzzle, what will fit the best, right? And I think that's extremely important, and that's what makes me pretty okay at what I do.
Pretty awesome at what you do. It's so true because I hear, you ask questions and to the interviewers because you'll videotape them and then you'll send them to me, the people that you think I should be taking a closer look at. And I can tell you really understand what ALT is, the team environment, what our purpose is, what we're here to do. And I should go back and say that I am, all about energy. And I believe I was at a pivotal time in my career where I knew we needed to find people. Mm-hmm. And it was a struggle. We had tried doing it internally.
Yeah.
It was taking up a lot of time and resources from other tasks. As you know, Vanessa heads the design. Mm-hmm. She's running operations. I'm trying to keep things afloat, always juggling 5 things at once.
Sure.
And then all of a sudden, this beautiful, majestic, redhead lady walks up to me and hands me her card. And I looked at it and I showed it to Victoria right away. And I'm like, wow, when you really ask the universe will respond.
We had been talking about it that day.
Yes,
about
there you
needing
go.
to hire people.
And then here you arrive, and it's been so great so far with everyone that you've helped my business grow with. How do you attach the idea of wealth as a byproduct to creating and building a team?
I think that's an amazing question. I think it really, you have to kind of break it down in a sense, because if you look at somebody who's passionate about what they do, regardless of what it is, whether it's staging or home design or operations or sports, for example, right? No Olympic athlete says, I'm just going to become an Olympic athlete because I want the monetary prize that's attached to that medal. You become the best at what you do because you care, because you feel like you have the capability of being a part of the team, or, in some cases, obviously for athletes, it's being that sole sort of top dog, right? But for a team, I do believe that it's important to understand that, even, for example, to go back to sports, right? You win the World Cup because you play together. You win or you lose as a team. The wealth does come afterwards if you have that incredible synergy. But you also have to be incredible at what you do. You have to be that extremely contributing part of the team, and then everything else will come.
Right.
What kinds of techniques do you use when you're looking for qualities and when you're searching for the right people to join a company?
So you've seen my interviews, and I sort of take a little bit of a less formal approach to HR and recruitment. I've always, even when I was younger, I remember HR calling me for something or emailing me for something, and I was petrified, right? You just automatically assume you've done something wrong, you're going to get fired, right? So in this particular case, I find that when people see that I'm not only a recruiter, but also an HR specialist, they sort of get the little bit of a nervous anxiety of, oh my goodness, I'm so nervous, I don't do well at interviews. And I've heard it a million times. So I sort of take a little bit of a backseat and I say, we're just having a conversation. I'm going to take a sip of my coffee. We're going to make a joke. We're going to talk about, you've heard me talk about my kids at interviews, right? The challenges of go back to school, for example, right now, right? Lunch packing and all that other fun stuff. So I sort of become a little bit more of a liaison, a friend, really, so that they feel at ease. They feel comfortable telling me who they truly are, as opposed to having that list of, well-rehearsed questions and well-rehearsed answers usually, which is, what professional interviewers is what we call them do. They're people that do great at interviews, but they're not very good at their jobs usually, which is why they keep on interviewing for new jobs. Right. So I really want to understand the same way that I get to know my clients. I want to know the candidates. I want to see that their personalities, their sense of humor, their everything is going to be a great fit. And I think that's what I do differently.
That kind of answers my next question. I was going to say, what do you think makes you successful at what you do? Right. Is that the approach that you take to it?
I think so. I think essentially it's a combination of, again, making the candidate feel at ease, knowing my clients, knowing what works, what doesn't, trusting my clients that they will give me the most sort of honest, raw feedback possible so that I can improve the quality of candidates moving forward. Because obviously we don't get it always right on the first try, right? But I think also caring. I care about my clients. I care about my candidates. I want them both to succeed. Like Farah was saying, it's about, I think, connecting amazing people to incredible opportunities. And I care about both parties succeeding. I think you have to, if you care, I feel like you're going to be great at anything that you do, right?
Yeah. It's really nice to hear the approach that you take to it, because I can resonate with that, because when I was looking for a job prior to sending my application to Farah, or when I was sending it to you, I had applied to multiple places, and I'm terrible at interviews. The formal sit there, I have a whole bunch of questions to go through with you. I'm not good at that. If we can have a casual conversation and you can get to know me and I can get to know you, it's going to be way better. I'm way more comfortable with that. I wish I had that kind of experience when I was applying for jobs. So it's nice to hear that somebody does offer that. How do companies benefit from the service that you're providing them?
I think they benefit in different ways. I think first and foremost, we build a relationship. So it's not a one and done. We continue to work, with many of our clients for years now, and we continue building their team. So the benefit that they get is I know their team now. So for example, a Ladies Touch, now that we've built in layers, I understand more and more of what needs to happen next year in 2024 and so on. And I can help with that. I think the other benefit that our clients get is obviously I can take this piece away from them completely, and they have a peace of mind that there's someone, with their best interest at heart looking for that amazing, missing piece of the puzzle for them. And it saves them time. It allows them to focus on what they need to do as entrepreneurs, as whether they're real estate agents or mortgage brokers or other business owners. And just knowing that, everything is taken care of for them. Once I find that person, I will be sure to share that information with them and walk them through all of the steps of the process to get that person on board.
Right. Okay, awesome. What about HR excites you the most? What drives you every day in your business?
That's an amazing question. I think about it every day, actually. The reason I love HR and the reason I fell in love with it is because I get to help people all the time. I get to expand on missing pieces of information, right? And I get to meet amazing people every day. I get to talk to somebody about their ideas, about their future aspirations, and I get to help them get there. So I don't think there's anything more rewarding for me than that.
You mentioned being in the retail industry for so long and moving so far up the ladder. Why did you start your own business?
Oh, that's an excellent question. I think entrepreneurship for a lot of people starts out of necessity, right? So they say necessity is the mother of invention. I believe it's very true. So for me, and you know, this is a story I share very proudly. Actually, I was in a very odd stage in my life where I was almost ready, but I wasn't quite ready. I thought I'm going to start this HR business, but something was kind of pulling me back. I wasn't quite sure of myself just yet. And then something happened. I've lost my job. So I had to start thinking about how I'm going to get out of the situation. Right. COVID was just around the corner. It was just on its way to Canada. My husband was in between jobs, and I was 9 weeks pregnant at the time. So nobody's going to hire a pregnant woman, right? And so I was very lucky. I kind of broke down the problem instead of panicking. You know, my husband ended up landing a job very quickly. We wrote him an amazing resume, which he very much deserved. And he ended up getting a job. I ended up getting a contract. So I ended up getting a 6 months contract, which was perfect, at a very local company close to us. And I worked from home, which was amazing through COVID and through my pregnancy, of course.
Yeah.
And then my contract ended. I went on maternity leave, and I had no job to go back to, and it was perfect. It was the exact push that I needed. Somebody just kind of shoved me off the cliff and said, "Here you go. You have 12 months to figure this out."
Right.
And I did. So, and it wasn't always easy. We all know entrepreneurship and owning a business comes with a lot of risks, a lot of anxiety. I think a lot of sometimes heartbreak, because you learn through failure or opportunities, like I like to call them. But I'm very happy that I did it. So it was definitely the push that I needed.
That's amazing. Is there something that you think makes your company so unique when it comes to HR?
I think it does. I think there's a blend of experience that I bring from retail, also from construction, also from food manufacturing. So I've touched on a whole bunch of different industries when I was still working in corporate HR. The other thing that's very unique about the HR Pro is it's both an HR company and a recruitment company. There are very few companies actually that do both. So you'll either have sort of recruitment separate or HR consulting.
Okay.
So, and that's across all industries actually, not just, what I typically deal with. So I think that makes us very unique. And again, it creates that very prolonged relationship, hopefully, for many years to come.
And what's next for you between next year or the next 5 years? What is your goal that you're looking to achieve?
Well, I'm going to continue growing my business. So what I've been doing is, while trying to expand my own network, while obviously working with great entrepreneurs, many years ago now, when I first started my business, I opened up a Facebook group because I thought, how am I going to connect with all of these HR professionals and all these recruiters in the middle of COVID when we have no events? Our HR association is not putting out any events. So I created a Facebook group for HR professionals across Canada. And so right now we have about 1,300 individuals across Canada who are waiting on standby to take on new clients on our behalf.
Wow.
Nice.
Well,
That's awesome.
amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
How do you recruit for yourself? Like, are you looking at...
It's the most ironic and bizarre experience in the world because I know exactly what I'm looking for. And quite often you look for sort of a 2.0 version of yourself, right? Which isn't what you actually need. So it's doing really careful needs analysis, right? So I do an analysis based on where are most of my clients coming from? Are they in Ontario? Are they in Nova Scotia? Are they in Vancouver? And we do have clients from, all across Canada. And so it's a matter of identifying the needs and then the qualities. Am I looking for more so a recruiter or more so an HR specialist, right? And we can have both, right? Because most HR professionals are typically pretty decent at recruiting because they do it all the time. Right. And so a lot of networking for me is getting to know the individuals who might be working with me, 6 months down the road or 12 months down the road. And I've met incredible people all throughout just networking and asking questions and continuing these conversations. So it is not an easy thing because you have to let go of a lot of these sort of fears and anxieties of letting somebody be client facing on your behalf, right? And then there's all this, what if they do something wrong? What if they say something or commit to something that we can't actually do? And, you know, it's a reminder for me also as a leader and as a manager to write things down, to be able to create those standard operating procedures, to be able to create those, you know, Q&As so that they're fully set up for success. That's my responsibility as a leader, right? I don't expect them to know everything. I certainly didn't when I started. So it's creating a lot of that procedural stuff and then finding the personality that I find my clients would work really well with. Someone similar to me. They don't have to be, you know, the exact copy of me, but someone I think similar who represents our business well.
I think there's a lot of synergies in what you're saying here, because for me, you know, it was difficult at first, you know, letting someone else be at a stage, Vanessa, you know, but then they surprise you because you're like, okay, what if they do something wrong? But what if they do something great?
Right.
And there's that possibility too. And then you start to see, oh my goodness, you know, if I didn't let go and let this person really take control of the situation, then maybe this wouldn't have spun out, and it actually led to a lot more greater things than negative. So I guess I'm lucky with that. And then also like finding somebody who's like you, that's also leveraging, I guess, you know, a lot of power and potential. And, you know, I got my left and my right arm here, and I got to say, like, you know, even with this podcast, you know, we could have just done it solo, but I always believe that, you know, 3 is better than 1. And my team continues to grow with your help, of course. And I'm looking for not just 10, 20, like I would love a design firm and company that has 50 employees and, you know, taking the systems that we've learned here and applying it on a larger scale so that we're opening up the opportunities for more people who are, you know, want to be in design or want to be in leadership roles. I think that that's what I'm here to do. I don't think it'll be possible without you though, Kate. So we're looking forward to doing more work together.
Absolutely. And it's such a pleasure working with all of you. And thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to work with such amazing people.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. Any other questions?
No.
All right. Well, thanks again.
Thank you for being
Thanks
here.
so much for
So
having
nice
me.
to have you.
Thank you.